Well, that was a social media disaster. A lot has happened since we cut out 2 minutes ago. Britt passed out on the table eating a hamburger. Whew! That was wild. All right, we are now back live here at the shop at Harp Design Co. I'm Clint Harp. This is Andrew Schatz.
Howdy.
And we are going to give you a little bit of a tutorial today on the usage of epoxy or two-part epoxy. Now, when I first heard two-part epoxy, it kind of freaked me out because I was like, what does that mean? Two-part, how do I use it? Little backstory, the first time I ever heard of it being used was my grandfather made countertops for our house in Georgia, the house that he built on the Chattahoochee River. And he poured a bunch of rocks, river rocks, into a form and then poured epoxy into it. It hardened and you had this really cool countertop that had river rocks just floating inside of it. That was my first introduction, Andrew Schatz, to two-part epoxy. At the time, I just thought it was magic. I had no idea what he had done. Anyways, since then, I knew that you could use it in woodworking, but honestly, it really wasn't something I got into until these guys came along. What I was using before, which a lot of people use, by the way, hello again to Facebook world and Instagram world. This is Clint and Andrew here live at Harp Design Co. Little tutorial for you. Live, that's right. Okay. What I was using before, which is what a lot of people use, I think, and it's okay, is wood putty. I was using a lot of wood putty to fill holes. We use a lot of reclaimed wood out here, and as you can see, try and get really close. There are a lot of cracks, okay, and all that jazz. There you go, Instagram world. Cracks and holes and all that stuff. And when you're making a tabletop, you really don't want to leave a bunch of cracks and holes. Andrew, you're a sloppy eater.
Something that, yeah.
You get food down there.
Food down there, and who knows what bacteria will grow up, right?
This is a great point. We don't need any more bacteria growing on our tables than should be allowed. So, you take this stuff, this putty, and you'd stuff it in there, wait for it to dry. Now, the thing about putty is it's going to shrink, so you need to reapply. And putty takes a while to dry.
And it'll crack.
It'll crack. That's exactly right. Almost all the time.
Yeah.
Which is why you got to reapply it. Now, again, putty's a good thing. It can be used for a lot of great stuff. But man, once my eyes were open to epoxy,
Game changer.
Game changer for sure. I'm going to show you today with Andrew how easy it actually is to use. Right here, we have kind of more an industrial level epoxy. Okay, right here you've got the hardener and resin. That's what epoxy is. You have two parts to it. You have a resin and you have a hardener. Okay, Andrew, you take the cup. Go ahead and walk people through this. So we're going to squirt how many squirts of hardener and how many squirts of resin?
This particular epoxy is 1 part hardener and then 2 part. Ooh, this is a little thicker.
There we go.
Resin.
There we go. Yep, the bottle's giving us some trouble. So, you mix that up. Now, one of the keys to remember about epoxy is once it's dry, you're not staining it. Okay? That's it. So what we do with ours is we actually tint it with whatever stain we are going to use on that table. So in this case we have
antique brown.
A little antique brown.
One of our most popular stains.
There you go. So we throw that in there. All right.
Couple drops.
Couple drops. Little mixing spoon. Now, use the viscous word. I love the viscous word. There's
high viscosity.
High viscosity. Okay. Basically, how thin or how thick you want it to be, you can add what we do, which little, as they say, man glitter, a little sawdust. Okay, now that's the fine sawdust, and where, oh, thank you. I don't know what he's doing right now, but yes, you can do that too. So, you take your sander, okay, and in your sander, that is where all of that little bag that comes with the sanders, keep that. Don't throw it away. You need it. Collect all your little sand, and that's really, really fine sawdust, okay?
Yeah. We found that if you use the real thick stuff, it becomes airy and it just doesn't work as well. So get some really fine
sawdust, okay? All right. Add a little bit of sawdust in there, and you keep going until it gets as thick as you want it to be. You can get it really tacky, or you can have it kind of loose. Keep in mind, with this kind of stuff, it takes a little bit longer to dry, okay, than the other stuff that we use. And here's the other stuff that we use. You can buy this stuff. It's a red bottle. I'm going to turn the logo around. But if you are watching, you know who you are, and you can call us if you'd like us to show your product off more. Kidding, sort of. Anyways, no. So you take this. You've got your resin.
Home store.
You get that at a home store.
Yeah.
That's correct. Resin and a hardener. Same thing, okay, just not on this big commercial grade with the giant bottles and all that stuff. Now, what we do for that, we open up a couple of plastic baggies, all right? And you squirt on this one, Andrew. What's our ratio?
Half and half.
Half and half. Okay, so we are not going to like all out do this today, okay? We're just kind of showing you. And by the way, this stuff stinks. It really does smell kind of like a perm. So if you've ever had a perm, you know what I'm talking about. So you do a little half and half. Oh, you got to cut the little top off. Thank you, Andrew. There we go. A little half and half.
Nope.
And we're not. Oh, yeah, it's got the little thing on it. Hold on. We thought we were ready, but we just weren't. Okay. Somebody's getting fired.
My pro tip is to count how long. So if you do about the same pressure, you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then your next bottle, so you get about half and half.
So as you can see, it's not an exact science. Now again, we are going to, we're going to add some stain here. Now with this stuff that you buy from the home improvement stores, you do not need to add any sawdust, okay? And it dries super fast.
Viscous.
It's very viscous, thank you. Very viscous. Then all you're gonna do, you're gonna take this bag, and you are actually going to just kind of knead it together, okay? See how I'm just kind of mixing it together? You just take it, and it's all going to just get nice and happy and friendly in there. And actually, one way to know that it's ready, and there's some scientists out there that could explain why this actually happens. I don't really know because I'm not a scientist, but I know that there's some sort of chemical reaction going on, because what happens is it starts to get warm. Now, you don't want to mix too much. Do not fill this whole bag up with one bottle and another bottle, because what happens is you only have a certain amount of time to work with this stuff, okay? It will dry pretty fast, and once this stuff starts to harden, it's over. Game over. You cannot use it anymore. You're done. So we mix up just a little bit at a time.
Yeah, and it's
okay.
Find a straight edge and just
now,
roll it all together.
As he's getting that all done, let me show you again. Here's a board right here. See all these cracks going on? Okay? You don't want that on your tabletop. So, Andrew, go ahead and cut just a tiny little hole in the corner of the bag. Okay? Just like you're piping a cake or something like that, decorating a cake. And see how he just sort of fills that in? There you go. That's the name of the game. Fill it in, and it'll start to dry. Okay? That is how easy it is. Anywhere there's a crack, anywhere there's a hole, anything like that, you just pipe in a little bit of that 2-part epoxy, keep going until everything's filled in. If you fill it in and the epoxy seeps down and you have a little bit of a depression, well then, once it hardens, go back and fill it again with epoxy. When you are done, it should look something like this. You have, right here, isn't that nice and fun? You have these little shiny, dark blobs, but look, they're hard. They're very hard, okay? So, what you do from there is you sand, okay? We start with like an 80 grit, okay? Pop that on there, sand it down. You keep going until it's flat, all right? You can get that flat because it's hard, but it is still malleable to a certain degree. So you will go through some sandpaper. We've tried even chiseling it off a little bit, and every once in a while that works, but you have to be careful when you chisel it off, because you can chisel too much and kind of dig down into what you just created, and then you're back to square one, because the goal here is to have a flat surface. All right. And then this is what it looks like. You can see, and I'm going to take a little bit of this butcher block oil, and I think it will help kind of bring out what's going on even more. A little oil here. Yeah. Okay. Now, you see here? It looks like there's a hole, but there is no hole or crack there anymore. We have filled it, and it is flat as a board. That is completely flat. I can run my finger across there. I'm not going to get caught anywhere. That is absolutely 100% flat. Not going to get any food stuck in there, any kind of anything, bacteria, whatever.
Or a splinter.
Or a splinter.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We love reclaimed wood. We use it as much as we possibly can. And one of the reasons why we love it is because it has all the scars and the marks and holes and all that stuff, which is also very much like us as humans, right?
Oh.
Scars are not a bad thing. I don't want to make you cry.
Working me today.
I am, but that is the reality. We all have our stuff, and instead of hiding it, and instead of trying to, act like it's not there, we like to leave it there. There are holes, there are cracks, that's part of it, but if you fill it with some epoxy, just like your own personal scars, shove some epoxy in there and everything's fine. Alright? Okay guys, Demi and Maddie are kindly giving me the, hey, wrap it up over here. So we're going to be done. That's it. We will post this on the blog as well as the other tutorials. So for those of you out there that are wondering, how can I watch this? Well, if you're watching now, you're not wondering. But you may have friends that are going, wait, we can't watch it because that's okay.
My mom.
Your mom.
Yeah,
thank you. Andrew's mom. You go online to harpdesignco.com, click on our blog, and you can find these tutorials. And I also want to say this. We're not the only one out there doing tutorials. Shanty to Chic Sisters and a White. Jake Pickens up there doing videos. If you follow HGTV on Instagram and Twitter, he's doing little hack videos and stuff like that that are amazing. There's a lot of folks out there, showing us how to do this thing that we all love to do, which is woodworking and creating with our hands. It's a fun deal, but there's a lot to learn, and so you never can really get enough information. So keep exploring out there. There's some great resources that you can learn a lot from. So, all right.
Sounds good to me.
I think that's good.
That's it.
It's one of our longer ones, but hey, I hope you enjoyed it. All right, until next time. Peace.